everyone. I'm Toria with the Human Community. As Dia de los Muertos approaches in just a few weeks, we're taking time to explore this beautiful celebration of life, love, and remembrance called the Day of the Dead. It's a time when the veil between worlds grow thin, when we pause to honor those who came before us and celebrate the beauty of their memory through color, art, and connection. Joining me today is someone truly special to me, Anna Johnson, the founder of La Catrina Productions. Anna is an Arizona native and a performer at heart, with a background in pantomime and community theater. Every October, she shares the spirit of Dia de los Muertos through her community presentations, teaching others about the art, symbolism, and the beautiful culture behind the celebration. Every year, she steps fully into character, appearing in her award-winning Catrina costumes, a walking piece of art, greeting attendees, taking photos, and keeping the tradition alive with beauty and authenticity. Beyond the makeup and marigolds, she's a writer and editor for a national wildlife conservation magazine. She's a talented storyteller who bridges the worlds of art, nature, and spirit. In this episode, we'll be exploring what the Day of the Dead truly means, not just as a cultural tradition, but as an act of love that connects generations, heals grief, and reminds us that the soul never dies. I've known Anna for over 57 years, and I suppose I should mention, she's my sister. I am so excited to introduce the Human Community to Anna Johnson. Let's give her a warm welcome. Hello, Anna.
Hey, sis.
Say hi to everybody.
I wore my calaveras for you, my little calaveras. That means skull in Spanish.
Beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We appreciate you.
I love it. I can't wait to get talking about my favorite topic.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. So for those who are listening that think that the holiday is somehow linked to Halloween, let's start off by explaining to everyone what the Day of the Dead really is and what it is not.
Okay, well, a lot of people merge the two because they're so close together. Day of the Dead takes place on November 1st and 2nd. November 1st is for the little angels, for children who have passed away, and November 2nd is for adults. And in there somewhere you can throw in pets and whatever else you'd like. But yeah, so I think
didn't know
in
that.
in our society, we're really afraid of death. We don't like to talk about it. We're very shy about it. And I think it's uncomfortable for people to just think about the end of the physical life that we have. And so they're fearful of what Day of the Dead even sounds like. So what they think, most usually, and I understand why, they think that we're worshiping the dead. Okay, it's really far from that. What we are is we're having a family reunion. And of course, it's just, in our minds, it's not real. It's a tradition that Mexicans, people who are from Central America, believe that during Day of the Dead, we think about folks that have passed before us, and we welcome them back for 1 or 2 nights to say, hey, come back and visit with me. And what they really do is they gather physically on earth, family members do, of these folks that have passed away, and we reminisce, we tell stories. In Mexico and Central America, they will then get together at cemeteries and they will play music. They will get around the person's grave. And it's kind of like when you have a loved one pass away, let's say somebody has a mother that's passed away, they go to her grave on Mother's Day. It's the same thing.
Like taking
I want,
flowers and
yeah, I want to be close to this person because this was her day. She's not physically here anymore, so why don't I go to her grave so I can be as close as I can to her? And it's the same kind of thing. It's a big family reunion, and there's lots to it. So there's no reason to be afraid of it. It's a way to embrace, have a bunch of memories again with family, a family gathering, sharing food, and so on, which we'll talk more about later. So that is what Day of the Dead is. Halloween is a completely separate holiday, and Day of the Dead actually has historic Aztec roots. And so, where it all came from is Catholicism and Christianity and those old Aztec roots getting together with All Saints Day and All Souls Day.
I thought you were going to say old ass. Old as
Rated
tech.
R. This program has just become rated R.
Sorry.
As or
Aztec. Old Aztec.
yeah, Aztec roots. And so you've got the All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and then with the Christian belief of eternal life, that gets thrown in too. And so that is what has created this holiday. It's a mishmash through so long ago. And so it really is a fun holiday, a spiritual, very good time to remember those that have passed before us.
Interesting. I can imagine that it would help people with their grieving.
Yeah, especially because our culture is
Processing.
so like, I'm afraid of death and I don't like to talk about it. When you're exposed to like skeletons and a holiday that addresses death, you become desensitized to it more or more accepting about it, and so less fearful about it. So the traditional Mexican belief is that we're not afraid of death. We take death on with kind of a mocking nature, and that's why you'll see the little skeletons in all different shapes and sizes. I have a couple of props here. I will show you one of them. This is La Catrina, and there is Miguel Guadalupe Posada designed La Catrina, and she is who I dress up as every year. There's a long history about her, but basically he was a lithographer back in the 1900s who was really mad at Mexicans who wanted to be European, and they didn't want to be proud of their heritage. And he said, hey, you guys, don't try to be European. Be yourself. Be proud of your culture. And so he created La Catrina. She's all dressed European style, great big hat, big feathers. And she has become a symbol for Day of the Dead, although she was created by somebody currently, 1900s currently. And so that's a little bit of the story there. So you will see a lot of his historic artwork, and it's been passed to the future where you'll see skeletons on clothing. You'll see little skeletons on signs. This sign here is a little banner, makes the skeletons cute. And at the bottom it says, recuérdame, remember me. And the Day of the Dead really means the whole thing is never forget those ancestors that we have come from, because once you forget, that's when they are truly dead. When we no longer remember them or tell stories about them, that's when they are truly dead. But as long as we talk about them and share stories and laugh and remember them, they live on forever. And that's what the holiday is really about.
So it's about celebrating their life.
Yeah, it really is a life celebration. It's not something scary. Our culture is not comfortable with death, and so that is a little bit of the difference. So some people don't want to know what Day of the Dead is, and that's fine, but it really isn't something scary. It's a time to remember those that have passed before us.
Well, you bring up a good point about our culture not being comfortable with death. back in the day, when people were at the end of their life, they would have the villages come in and sit with the people and give them their regards before they passed over. And then over the years, it was just family who would come and visit and say their regards. And then as the years go by, our society changed to where then it was just immediate family. And now it's where people are in hospitals. And so we used to have these big celebrations of, people coming to give their regards, and then it's shrunken down, and now people are just completely afraid of death altogether.
Yeah, they don't want to go see. Somebody passed away close to us recently, and I heard the story of somebody saying, "Oh, I wish I hadn't seen them on their deathbed, because I rather remember them when they were full of life and they weren't dying." And I get that. I really do get that. So it's not for everybody to be at the bedside of folks, but it is offering a lot of closure when they are. And then this holiday offers that closure too, because spiritually the belief is that they would come back to visit us, and supposedly they come back and they visit us, and we make food for actually our family who's physically here, and we do different things that make them feel welcome. But we really are just physically remembering them here as they were, and telling stories about them and so on. So they are never forgotten.
That's beautiful. So tell me what the marigolds and the monarch butterflies and the candles symbolize during this time. Because everywhere you see the beautiful butterflies.
So I made a little mini ofrenda here. An ofrenda is an offering space to remember a person by. And we'll get more into this, but you'll see I have a little monarch here, and you can buy these at any craft store you've got. They have a little wire on them. I've got them all over my office. They have magnets, they have earrings. You could just go nuts, but I love monarch butterflies. Aww. There is a migration of monarch butterflies that happens to time out with Dia de los Muertos. So the legend goes that, maybe those are the spirits coming back to visit us in the form of a monarch butterfly. So again, a legend, times out fine. Although this is pollinators are at risk right now. So if you have time and money to actually plant pollinating plants that help them out, you can research that online in the region you live in. But monarch butterflies in reduced numbers are now migrating to Mexico at the same time of Dia de los Muertos. That's coincidental, but they've built that into the holiday. So that's definitely the symbolism of monarch butterflies. Now,
but is it coincidental, really? We don't know.
We don't know. It's really all what you believe in. A lot of Christians are uncomfortable with some of this. It's like, you pretend other things, that we have faith in things, and you can have faith in this. It's a nice story. When you see something that reminds you, like our tia who loves hummingbirds, we see one that's near us, we say, that reminds me of my tia.
Right.
We can say things like that. Do we mean it? Do we know it's 150% true? Maybe, maybe not. It just depends. You can make this holiday as comfortable as you want it to be. The ofrenda is a remembrance space. Some people call them altars. You can make, an altar is something you pray to and that you worship. That's not what this is. So you can call it an altar, but it's really a remembrance space. So that can be anything you want it to be. So, we have photos. I have a photo here of our cousin Rob right here. And that's so I can remember him, and I like to see his face. So it's kind of the same thing. In an ofrenda, you can have it on shelves like this. This is one shelf and this is here. The only thing that it's kind of hard for you guys to see because you can't see the levels or the depth. But 4 elements need to be represented on an ofrenda. The ofrenda is just a little place to remember your relatives. Some of us have these up everywhere all year long. I was thinking, well, I kind of have little corners of photographs, and it's kind of just that. What an ofrenda officially is it needs to have the 4 elements to it: fire, wind, water, and earth. And the way we represent that, fire is the candles. So in your home, you can build a little shelf. You can take one that you already have stuff on and clear it out and start over just temporarily for the holiday. It doesn't take long, 15 minutes. You can have those little tea lights. This represents fire. And what it does is it's kind of like a spotlight helping the spirit come to visit your home or the cemetery. But of course, you don't want to use real fire in your home and leave it overnight. You can do one of these little battery operated ones. When you go to the cemeteries and have celebrations there, they do have candles, but there's also hundreds of people there doing it in Mexico. So they're not going to let something burn. They're going to use a real candle, and they will extinguish it before they leave for the night. Some have vigils all night long. They play music, they tell stories, they eat food, and it's just a big party. It's a big family reunion. But in the home, you want to be safe. So I suggest like a little battery operated candle. I'll put this down here because I can't really reach. The flowers, there's another word for you, cempasúchil. Cempasúchil are the marigolds. And there are about 8 to 10 different flowers that you can collect. And you can look this up online, but that are meant to smell strong to also guide the spirits either to the graveyards or to your home. And then they would see them and they would smell them. So it's all about guiding them to the home to say, hey, look, we're remembering you. We're having a party and it's in your honor. So an ofrenda can have more than one person as the focus. Very important, the photos that you put up on an ofrenda should only have the deceased person in it, not a living person. So that's a biggie.
That makes sense.
That's a biggie. So they can be little frames. It can be bigger frames. It just depends how big your space is. So the flowers represent the earth, and you've got the fire, and then wind. Wind is a symbolism of how delicate life is, but also it is like putting up a banner to say, party right here, party right here. So I have several things to show you, but let me show you something you can purchase, very inexpensive, at Mexican grocery stores. This is like a decoration. You can do decorations. That's just for the house. You can just do that for the house. You can display crosses. This is general decoration, not ofrenda. And look how gorgeous. This is my favorite pieces.
Oh, that's pretty.
This is actually from Mexico, and so is that cross. But I'm getting down in this pile. You can make cempasúchil by getting a pom-pom kit at any craft store and stringing these together. I have made these part of my Catrina costume. You just sew them on. Another beautiful cross. You can decorate. That's how you can bring the celebration to your home. I showed you the little butterflies. You can put these in hats. You can decorate with these on the ofrenda. Okay.
And same with the crosses and all that.
You can. They're kind of big. So your ofrenda can be really small. It can be, it depends how you can place things on there. There's got to be a purpose to the things that you put on there. So just putting this there, well, this wasn't my dear deceased family member or friend's favorite thing. It's more decorative. So what the ofrenda is for is to remember that person. So let's say I had a friend who loved Snickers bars, as silly as that is. and Pepsi right next to their photo. And you can buy miniatures online, you guys, because there's limited space on an ofrenda. Yeah, Mom's bought me some of these, and they're super tiny. Or you can, like, Coke, I'm not kidding, Coke bottles or food on little plates that's made out of ceramic, and you can put them on your ofrenda. So right next to that person's frame and their photo, I would put like a little Pepsi bottle. I mean, very literal, and a little tiny snack-sized Snicker bar. If they love Corona beer, you don't open it. Put it right there. It's just saying, I remember you love that, and I remember you love Snickers. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek because Mexicans are not afraid. They're not afraid. They're saying, hey, come on down. Look, I'm remembering you. It's very literal. And it can also just be very, honestly, spiritual.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I digress. I was getting to papel picado. So papel picado, you've seen these at Mexican restaurants. This is a felt one. And it's hard to see with the crazy background right now of what I've got here. But it's sturdy. You can store it flat. It's going to be pretty sturdy. But also, they have banners. I've cut these pieces off of them, but you can see through them. And when they're strung together...
The wind.
Oh, the wind. Papel picado means small pieces of paper. So remember when we were little, and we would have the white tissue paper, and we would cut, like fold it in half, cut designs into it just randomly, and then you open up and it's this beautiful snowflake. That's what papel picado is. And there's artisans in Mexico that actually intricately cut them. These are representative of that art. It's quick, you don't have to really create them. You buy them and you string them up.
So it's a real art form.
It really is, and people will spend hours and hours. Day of the Dead artisans and folks that make all the beautiful food to celebrate, they'll work months in advance, usually the month running up to it. So all of October they'll be baking. There are farmers that produce thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of marigolds, of cempasúchil, and they'll sell them in the streets. People take them to the cemeteries. They buy a ton of, the truckloads. You can Google the pictures. It's gorgeous because that scent is important to, again, guide the spirits to the holiday and the big family reunion. It's just unbelievable. So the ladies will cook for weeks and weeks and weeks. They'll make hot chocolate. They'll make a Mexican hot chocolate, of course. They'll make a pan del muerto, which is like a bun, and then they make little thin, it's supposed to look like
little
bones.
straps.
Little strips, thank you. And they'll cross them over like this. And pan de muerto is bread of death. Well, they just have these little crisscross bones across the top. It's delicious. It's got sugar sprinkled on top after you wash it with egg yolk, and then they bake it. It's just really beautiful stuff. They'll bake and bake and bake. They make special enchiladas and tamales, and they do that for weeks and weeks and weeks. Just so for these very 2 days, they'll gather with family at the cemeteries or in their home. They will eat, tell stories, drink the drink, and remember their loved ones.
Well, and all those marigolds, whether you believe it or not, as far as the spiritual aspect of it, the marigolds do bring the pollinators, the butterflies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another reason why they migrate.
Yeah.
That's definitely, never thought of that. Yeah, that's a big reason why they migrate. And you can look those pictures up online too. It's incredible. Like, they just swarm like bees to, their hives. They just cover everything. And I know they're not as plentiful as they used to be, but it's a beautiful sight. It is just gorgeous. It'd be really neat to see that in Mexico. But that's the ofrenda.
Okay, so we've got the marigold is earth.
Fire is
candles,
wind.
Candles.
The last one is water. Now, if these spirits have come from very long way from heaven down to earth,
They need a beer.
They need They could have a beer because we put that there. But on their return, it's going to, well, first of all, getting here, they'll be very thirsty. And leaving here, they'll be very thirsty. So you keep like a little saucer or a glass of water on your ofrenda because they'll want to drink. So that is the water part. Yeah. It can be believed or not, and it just depends on your spiritual beliefs, your faith, and just have fun with it. Just have fun with it, because it's really, it really is just that. It's lots of fun. So it takes a little bit of time to prepare your photos. Not everybody prints out photos anymore or even frames them. But there are small frames you can buy for cheap at your discount stores. And if you can print them, there's a lot of apps that work right off your phone. You can print them out in little cute frames. You can make your ofrenda big or little like this one. And it can be anywhere in your home, and it's not something you worship. It's a remembrance space. That's it, guys. It's nothing scary. You can put fake flowers. These are all fake flowers. These reminded me of cempasúchil, but they are like mums. And these here are like mums, and then these are you can get these on Amazon really affordably. They're supposed to be marigold, cempasúchil. They're all strung together, and you can decorate your home with the crosses, with the butterflies. It can just be really beautiful. If you want, you can just decorate the space around your ofrenda.
That sounds so pretty. Okay, I've seen you dress up every year. How do you go about choosing the look that you do every year? Because I've noticed every year it's a little different. And then if you could explain like the different details of your costume every year.
Mm-hmm. So I've been doing this for just over 10 years. And during COVID, online. So haven't stopped for that. The festivals were canceled. Or they went online. I did a festival that was online where I did a presentation in full makeup and costume. But again, Catrina, remembering back, Catrina, La Calavera Catrina, the skeleton Catrina was designed by the lithographer I told you about. Again, telling and reminding the government not to be, the Mexican government, not to be corrupt and not to treat the poor people, the Mexican people, badly. So lithography is like the carving of wood. I mean, we are talking one of the greatest forms of artistry. And he would do political cartoons. Basically,
I remember seeing those, yeah.
Yeah, they're incredible if you could go look them up. Everybody is a skeleton because his idea was that, look, government, nobody gets out of this alive. Everybody's going to die. Everybody's the same. You're not better than the people, than the poor people. And in turn, that's why everybody's a skeleton in his satirical cartoons or political statements, big time. And he died a penniless man because it's not popular to point those things out. But he developed Catrina because he wanted the people to say, be proud of yourself. Don't be like La Calavera Catrina. Don't be like her. And she actually is the biggest part. She's like this, if you had to pick a logo for Day of the Dead, she is it. So that being said, my look has been developing since, for 10 years, over 10 years now. And I started out really basic because I didn't have a lot. But Mom bought me the hat you'll see in these pictures, and it had sunflowers in it, but I added more to it. And I put some of these monarch butterflies on it. And then originally I had these pom-poms because Amazon wasn't so prevalent and I didn't know where to get fake marigolds. Well, now you can find fake marigolds on Amazon, and I've sewn those on. So as things became more passionate, I started putting monarch butterflies all down the middle. The earrings I wear belong to our grandma. The necklace I wear, I chose them because they fit the look of Catrina. And there's a shawl made of sequins that our other grandma, she gave me. So it's all come together that way. Now I bought gloves that have a skeleton hands on it, and I've added other things that are contemporary. But they all give you the definite illusion that she is La Calavera Catrina. She is a skeleton woman. I like to make my makeup all about brightness, and I am not a makeup artist. So I do what I can do, but altogether the entire costume takes me 2.5 hours to 3 hours to put together.
Wow.
Makeup being the majority of the time. But I used to do pantomime professionally and stuff, so the white makeup is kind of familiar.
Yeah, I remember that. Going back, you had said that artist had said, "Don't become Catrina." That part I don't understand. Why was he telling the people don't become like her?
Well, he created her mocking what his people had become. So his idea and his artistry was everybody has skin and bones. We're all bones when we pass away. We're all the same. A government official or the president, there were a lot of corrupt presidents in Mexico at the time, one after another, and he was tired of it. And as an artist, you're always bucking the system, so he was being honest. He said, look, we are all skin and bones. Nobody's better than anybody else. So he created her, but the majority of his artwork was just characters that were skeletons. Okay. And so when he created her, he was mimicking what Mexicans were doing. They were pretending like they were her, a European, and I don't want to be Mexican. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be, whatever it should be. And he was like, no, that's the worst thing. You have to be proud of our heritage. You have to be proud of who we are as Mexicans. And so that's why he drew her, but mostly it's townspeople, government officials, and so on. But that's where she came from. That's where she started. And then later, in more current years, current day Mexicans have said she's going to be the face of the holiday. So he never intended for any of that. He was making a political statement and telling his people, hey, we're Mexican, be proud of it. And later, people were like, no, she's the coolest. She represents who we are and that history that he's talking about. Let's never forget. Let's never be trying to be somebody else, a different culture. Let's be us. And so she's a very important symbol for that. And that's for anybody of any ethnicity. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget the relatives you've come from. Yeah, don't forget your roots, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the loved ones that have come before us. We should always be proud of our heritage, no matter what heritage you come from. Yeah. And that's what Catrina means to Mexican Americans and Mexicans.
Yeah. When you create your look, does it connect you to your culture? Do you feel more connected to our ancestors when you're dressed like Catrina?
Well, especially our immediate grandparents, because I use pieces of the costume, like I had mentioned. So it makes, while I'm painting my face, I think of our Nana, I think of our cousin Rob, I think of Tia Judy now, I think of people who've passed before us. And it's a grueling 3 hours because I'm not getting any younger. I take breaks, because you have to be very steady. And with every stroke, I want her to be bright. I want her to be bright. I really would like to learn how to draw skeleton shadowing and this and that. And I do mimic it a little bit, but I'm not that talented to be able to do it. So I do what I can do, like I mentioned. But as I'm doing it, I play Gypsy Kings. Woohoo! Love them.
Love them.
And love them. And I think of our relatives. Yeah. I think of our grandpas. Yeah. It does connect me because you don't get that. I mean, even though I have Day of the Dead stuff all around the house, everywhere, I don't have enough time to go, oh, that reminds me of my grandpa. It's sitting there for 3 hours with some small breaks, letting the makeup dry. That makes me think of, why am I doing this? Who am I remembering? And it does, for those 3 hours of intense makeup, it does definitely get me in the zone of thinking of those people who have come before us.
That's awesome. So for people who are wanting to do an ofrenda at their home, I know you said that November 1st is the day for children that have passed on, and then November 2nd is for the adults, and then in between can be pets.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, that means you
friends.
can put them up either day, is what that means.
So
There's
if
not a
you
specific process.
So can you start preparing days in advance?
Oh, yeah.
So that's not so then on the first or the second, that's when you light the candles. That's when you put the water out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, if you've got real food out, because some people do that, they put real food out. You want to be, or the light real candles in their home. That's all great, but at night you need to put the food away unless you want the cockroaches to come and, again, they make that fake food, so you could do that. But at night you want to extinguish, you never want
The
to leave
candle.
anything, yeah, while you're not at home. So that's all under supervision. But yeah, people can start printing their photos now, framing them. They could have even started early October. It's whatever your schedule will allow you to do. And some people do humongous ofrendas in their front yard, on their porch.
Wow.
It's super cool. And they sell on Amazon and all these, I think it's on Amazon, big, huge skull, big, huge inflatable. And I've seen pictures where they've put 2 or 3 of those in their front yard, and then their whole porch has got photos, and they've got shelving, wooden shelving. I mean, so we're talking big Mexican families.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've seen a lot of folks passing away, unfortunately, but they put them all up. Or you could do something really tiny. Like I put this one together in 15 minutes tonight for our interview. But whatever it takes to get things together, you can find a lot of stuff on Amazon right now, since we're coming down to 2 weeks here.
Yeah.
At the time of this recording.
Yep.
And you can make it as detailed as you want, or you can write on a little piece of paper, I love you, I miss you, I remember you love Snickers and Pepsi, and put it right next to their photo. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You just don't.
Yeah.
Or you can make a little cute card out of cardstock that you might have because you're a scrapbooker, and you can just stand it up, with a little smiley face on it. It doesn't,
A little note or something.
whatever fills your heart.
Yeah. That's beautiful. If our ancestors could speak through you today, what message would they share with the human community?
I think they'd want us to live our life day by day like we don't have another day. Live your life to its fullest. Don't wait. If you can retire now, retire now. If you can start a new business, start a new business now. I think we need to all live in the moment because we don't know if we have tomorrow. And I think that's how they would be. That's how they live their lives, And of course, always say you love your relatives to them for that very reason.
Yeah, I remember after our cousin Rob died, we made that a habit.
Yeah,
where we
we
just
started
always said that we love each other.
Because we were cool
Love you,
teenagers
love you.
back then, and you don't really say it when you're a teenager, but boy, did
Yeah.
it
After
change.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
What message do you want to leave for future generations of the human community about remembering where we come from?
I think we talked a lot about that. Never forget your relatives that have passed before you, because once you forget, they're truly dead at that point. They're truly just off the face of the earth because they're not in our brains, they're not in our hearts anymore, and it's always good to remember those who made us who we are today, how they loved us, what traits they passed on to us, skills, talent, let alone, I mean, really how they loved us. And I know that not all relatives are loving relatives, but we can always gain really good lessons from those that may not have been perfect to us or very loving and embracing to us. So I just think that there's always good in some people, and we can remember those things.
It's beautiful. Yeah, that makes me think of Grandpa. Our grandfather was the consulate of Mexico, and we had all Mom and Popo, my aunts and uncles, had collected all of his. He had these huge certificates with signatures on them from different presidents and all that, because he was a consulate of Mexico at one time. And when I worked at ASU, Arizona State University, they had a they still do have a Barry Goldwater, like a whole presentation on him in the archives. And one day I met, I believe, I'm trying to remember her name, but she was in charge of the archives at Arizona State University. And we were at a Hispanic function, and I told her I saw the archives on Barry Goldwater. It was a beautiful presentation. My grandfather taught Barry Goldwater how to speak Spanish. And so we just started having this conversation, and next thing I know, she's asking for all of Grandpa's
Photos.
and his certificates from the, so all of that is at the Arizona State University archives. And my point is that legacy is so important. That's another way to remember your relatives when we're long gone.
Yeah.
His archives will still be at Arizona State University, and you can actually Google it. It comes up. So
That's cool.
in their archives. Yeah. Mom had to sign a waiver and all that, saying that she relinquished these artifacts to Arizona State University. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
pretty very cool.
Yeah. So legacy for those of the elders that are in our lives currently, take the time to take photos and get their stories and carry those stories into the future for the next generations, because like you said, once they're gone, right?
Yeah, there's books out there. I've had Mom and Dad fill them out.
I have too. They've had
Yeah, Mom was better at it than Dad, because guys sometimes don't want to do that, but it's fun, even if it's a sentence. There are these books that say, "What was your first time you did blah blah blah?" And
you did it for Dad?
I think I gave him one, but I don't think he's filled it out. But
we'll have to get after him for that.
Yeah, we'll have
him do it.
But a lot of museums right now are getting the elders of a community, like a small town, getting them on tape to tell the community stories. So it's very similar to that, where you want the family stories, and that way you can have one over on your relatives.
That's right.
Somebody tells a story about them, but it's fun.
A lot of the libraries are doing that. They're doing the legacy, and actually that's one of the steps that we're going to be doing in January. Is we're going to have a legacy part on our website where we're going to be interviewing amazing people in the community and keeping that legacy going on YouTube, of course. So that's one of the things that we're going to be adding. So if anyone out there, so if anybody out there has an amazing human that you want to record their legacy, we would love to hear from you.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So for people who want to go to the festivals, can you talk to us a little bit about that? I know that a lot of communities have like festivals and parades and all that. Can you let them know where they could go to experience that more?
Sure. A lot of communities that have large Mexican populations, especially in California, Texas, Arizona, most communities will have some kind of a celebration, different levels. You've got museums that have special exhibits. We were just in Vegas, and they have Colors of Mexico, which is all about Day of the Dead. So That'll be up until I asked them, how long are you doing this? They said until people aren't interested anymore. So, for example, Arizona, Mesa, City of Mesa has a great celebration. City of Avondale has the only celebration held in an authentic Mexican cemetery.
Wow.
Yeah, the only one in Arizona. And then you can go to Mexico. Michoacan and Oaxaca are the two most wonderful festivals. They do the parades. They create paper mache puppets. They are sky high puppets. And then they have men on the ground, kind of like our Macy's Day Parade where you have floats.
Yeah.
They are huge Mexican made puppets. They look like skeletons. They look like Catrina, and it's unbelievable. You can Google it. The videos are incredible. Now there is a town in Mexico called Agua Calientes. That is where Posada was born, the lithographer. And so they do a huge one, of course, because that's where he was born. So, but as far as the United States, you can find different variations, whether it be just a museum exhibit, and sometimes they'll have artists in the community create an ofrenda that they will put on exhibit. I've been to a museum, I forget which one it was, downtown Phoenix. They had at least 20 artists who had created ofrendas with their family photos. They gave it their own artistic touch because they're actual artists, you know? So, but the parades are hard to find here in the United States. They're mostly in Mexico, although never say never. They could be in Texas and in California. So
Maybe New Mexico, maybe.
yeah, could be. But wherever you're going to have a large Mexican population, that's definitely where you'll find them. And then in other towns, if there's a mixed population, of course, then you would find smaller festivals, depending on the size of the town. So, yeah, you just have to go out and Google your town that you're looking for or one that you're visiting and say Day of the Dead celebrations, Avondale, Arizona, and it'll come up. So,
So is the Hispanic culture pretty open to having different ethnicities join in on the Day of the Dead celebration?
yeah,
Or is
100%.
it's not misappropriation or anything like that?
No.
Very inclusive.
It's very open to you celebrating. Everybody knows a loved one who has passed on.
Right.
There is no limits to that. So you can join the family reunion. Absolutely.
Excellent. I know you do presentations at libraries and museums and all that.
Online. Yeah.
Online. So for anyone who's interested in having you come out next year, can you let them know where they can find you or how they can get in touch with you?
Sure, they can send you a private message on Facebook or any of your socials, make a comment on YouTube, and then you will connect them. I don't have a website, but I do online presentations with slides and everything on the art of Day of the Dead and the artists of Day of the Dead current and in the recent history, 1900s of Posada specifically. And then I have another one that talks all about ofrendas. So I have plenty to pull from. So yeah, that's how they should reach me, is through the human community.
Through me. Yeah, through the human community. Perfect. Thank you so much. And one last thing, I'm going to be posting the beautiful photographs that you had your friend Mark
Farringer. He's an angel in heaven now.
Yeah. He'll be at
And his wife really loves Day of the Dead, so I'll make sure she gets a copy of this.
Okay, great. So we wanted to mention his name because he took those beautiful photographs of you that we'll be putting on the podcast today. And we'll be placing Mark on our ofrenda that we create this year. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Mark. Wherever you are, we hope we see you on November 2nd.
Yep, for sure. He'll be in our hearts for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Anna. I really appreciate it, sis.
You're welcome.
And thank
Thanks
you,
for having me.
everybody, for listening. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. Thanks
Yeah.
again, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.